Hi everyone. So this is a bit of a recap of what we did in class the other day, on Friday. Friday? Yeah, it was Friday. It was Friday. So I'm going to be fairly brief with it, but I will explain what I'm doing, okay? But it's just so you've got something to go to, okay? Just in case you didn't get, in case your notes aren't clear or you're suddenly looking back at something and thinking, what on earth was that all about? Okay, so factorising expressions. The reminder, and you should have all got this written down, but in case you didn't, it's also known as, aka, putting the brackets back in. Okay, it's putting the bracket. Oh, I'm trying out a new tripod for my camera today, so it's a little bit close. I'm just getting used to it. So yeah, factorising expressions is also known as putting the brackets back in. It's the opposite of expanding the brackets, okay, which we're quite happy with doing. I know that. It's just the opposite of that, okay? So here, we want to turn this, with factorising, what we want to do is to take out any common factors, okay, which is why our session on Friday, we started at looking what the highest common factor was of pairs of numbers. So here, what we're going to look at is the highest common factor. We're going to look at our numbers first, okay? So we've got 15 and 6. And we want to know the highest common factor. What is the biggest number that goes into 15 and goes into 6, okay? So, I mean, you might be able to see that one. If you can't, I'll just show you how we'd work it out, because sometimes you get really big numbers. So we look at all the factors of 15. So we look at 1 multiplied by what is 15? Well, it's 15. So they're both factors, okay? It's a factor pair. 2. Now, 2 doesn't go into 15 because it's an odd number, okay? So that can't be a factor. 3. 3 multiplied by 5 is 15. So we've got another factor pair there. 4 doesn't go in because 15 is odd. And then the next number in the list is 5, which we've already got here, okay? So we've kind of come full circle and we've got everything, okay? Once you kind of meet yourself coming back, you've finished, okay? So that's all our factors there. And then here we're going to do the same thing again. So 1 multiplied by what is 6? So multiplied by 6. So 1 and 6 are factor pair. 2 multiplied by 3 is 6. And because we've got 2, 3, we've kind of, the next number, what would happen if I carried on now? My next number would be 3 multiplied by 2. But we've already got that, okay? So we're going to start getting all the opposites, which we don't need to do, okay? So we're looking for the biggest number, which appears in both of these lists. And I can actually see it's going to be 3. Okay, the biggest number which appears in both is 3. So that's our common factor. It's our highest common factor. And that's why these lists are useful, because sometimes people just find a common factor and it's not the highest. Okay, we need the highest one. So we're going to take a 3 out here, okay, and pop some brackets in. Just like that, okay. Actually, Mrs. Vine showed me something really interesting the other day, and I'm going to show you what she showed me, how she does these, and I think this is fantastic. Okay, and what she does is she says, well, 3 times by what is 15? Okay, well, 3 times 5, okay, because that's our factor pair. 3 multiplied by 5 is 15. And we've got the x there, so multiplied by x. Add 3 times by what is 6? It's 3 multiplied by 2, there we are. Okay, and then she puts her brackets here. And she says, okay, anything that appears on each side here, so this is our kind of divider here. If we've got a plus or a minus sign, that's our kind of dividing place. So here's one term, and here's the other. I'm just going to circle those, I think, in another colour so they kind of pop out. So this is one term because that's not got any pluses or minuses, and it's just all multiplications. And here's another because it's separated by the plus sign. Okay. So what Mr. Ryan said, anything that appears in both comes on the outside. So we've got a 3 in both. So let's cross it out and put it on the outside. And there's nothing else actually that appears in both. So then we start to work our way through. Everything that's left goes inside. So we've got 5 multiplied by x, which is 5x. They've gone. Add 2. Add 2. And that's done. It's factorised. Okay. I'm going to show you that again with the next one. The next question. So that's your final answer for that one. Okay, so this one here, 8x plus 24. Okay, I'm just going to try and find here and use this black pen here just so it stands out from the one above. So 8x plus 24. So what we're going to do here is find the highest common factor of 8 and 24. Now, I'm not going to sit and do this for each of them because I know you can do those, okay? You've had a lot of practice with that. You don't need to sit and watch me doing that. So the highest common factor of 8 and 24 is actually 8. Okay, so I'm going to rewrite these, okay? And this is going to be interesting, actually. I'm going to have 8 multiplied by what is 8? Well, it's multiplied by 1, isn't it? 8 multiplied by 1 multiplied by x, okay? Add 8 multiplied by what is 24? 8 multiplied by 3. Okay, so I've just written, this is the exact same thing as that, but we've just kind of spread out the numbers a little bit. Okay, we've stretched them out into 8 times something. So I'm going to box off again where my two different terms are. Just helps to see it, really. Okay, and then underneath there I'm going to put my brackets in. So just a pair of brackets like that, quite spaced out so you can fit everything in. And I'm going to look, okay, what appears in both of these boxes? Okay, and the first one that leaps out is an 8. So I'm going to cross it off. And if it goes in both, it comes outside, okay? Now, there's nothing else that's common to both, okay? So anything left over comes inside. So we've got 1 multiplied by x, 1x, that can go, plus 3. Okay, and the eagle-eyed amongst you might have said, well, we don't need the 1, do we? If it's 1x, it's just x, you're absolutely right. So we can just rewrite that a little bit neater, x plus 3. Because 1x, the 1's redundant, it's not really, it doesn't really matter to say the 1, because we can see it's one of them if there's no bigger number in front of it. Okay, so that's those ones done. Now, this kind of expression is where we only have a number that is a common factor, okay? And the next ones I'm going to show you, we've got variables. Remember, that's the things that change. We've got variables that are common factors, okay, this time, and no numbers. So let's have a look at these ones. These are quite nice. And we're going to do what we did in the class the other day, and we're going to stretch them out again, a bit like what we've just done, really. We don't have to concern ourselves with the numbers because 4, and, well, here, like we just saw on the other one, actually, there's kind of an invisible 1 here, okay? So there's no common factor here, okay? Well, except for 1, but we don't take out 1 as a common factor because it doesn't help us to get anywhere. It's like a side step, okay? So we're going to just rewrite this out. We can put 1 multiplied by x multiplied by x, because we've got x squared, that's x multiplied by x, plus 4 multiplied by x. There we are, a bit scruffy. Okay, again, I'm going to just put boxes around my two different terms. There we are, there's the first one. There's a second one with the plus sign in the middle, and with the brackets coming in here. So now the same thing we did before, anything that appears in both, I'm going to put outside. And on this one, it's not a number like last time. We've got some x's. So this x and this x pair up. I'm going to take it outside here. Now this x, it doesn't have a pair. Okay, there's no pair to go with that, so I can't take it out. So it's going to have to stay in there. So yeah, I've taken out the x, but because this x doesn't have a pair, we can't do anything with it. So now the same as before, I don't think there's anything else there pairs up. So we've got left over 1 multiplied by x. Now, if you remember before, we didn't bother writing the 1. It wasn't really necessary. If you want to do that line and then rewrite without it, that's not a problem. That's fine. So we've got the x and the 1's kind of gone. Plus 4. Okay. For this next one down here, x cubed, that's x to the power 3. Add 2x squared. It's starting to sound a bit more complicated, isn't it? Don't worry, the same method works. So I'm going to write it out the same as I did last time. I've got x times x times x. That's our x cubed. Okay. Add 2 multiplied by x multiplied by x. Okay, that's 2 times x squared. Okay, I'm going to box them off and put the brackets out below. So big pair of brackets just there. Okay, so then let's see what's common, what can come outside the brackets. So we've got an x and an x, so that's 1 x there. And we've got another one this time. We've got an x and an x there. So x multiplied by x. Okay, we're always multiplying these things together. And then what's left then? There's nothing else that pairs. So we've got x inside. Add 2. That's all that's left on that side. Okay, and the last thing really here to kind of just finish it up is to tidy up this here, because we want it to look neater. We don't want it to be x times x. Remember, the nicer way of writing that is x squared. Okay, x plus 2. Okay, all I've done is just tidy that up a little bit. Okay, right then, so that is what we do when we've just got the variable. Now the last one I'm going to show you, well, the last 2 examples anyway, the last type. And what do we do when we've got both? When we've got numbers and variables that are common factors. Okay, and the answer to that is the exact same thing that we've just been doing. You've just got to really pay attention. Okay, that's all. You've just got to pay that little bit more attention. So first of all, we're going to check what is the highest common factor of 2 and 8. What's the biggest number that goes into 2, which also goes into 8? I'll write it over here. The HCF of 2 and 8 is actually 2. Okay, it is 2. Turn off the autofocus. There we are. Okay, so I'm going to rewrite these first of all with the 2 times something, okay, like we did on the first one. So we're going to have 2 multiplied by 1 is 2. Okay, and then we're still going to stretch the rest of it out as well. So we're like doing both steps at the same time. So multiplied by x, multiplied by x. Okay, that's our x squared. Add, so we're on to this bit here now. Okay, we're going to have 2 multiplied by 4, because 2 multiplied by 4 is 8. Okay, multiplied by, we've only got 1x there. Okay, so just the 1x. Okay, so let's just kind of box these off again so we can see the 2 different terms. The brackets going in there. So this time let's see what we can take outside. We've got the 2, which appears in both. So that's going to come out. And we've got an x as well. So cross that out and x comes out there. Nothing else is in both boxes. So now what we need to do is put all the leftovers inside. Okay, so we've got 1 multiplied by x, which is just x. We don't need to write the 1. I'm just going to cross those out so we don't get mixed up. Plus, and here we've just got the 4. Okay, so that's the first one. Let's try this last one. Hopefully as well, the worksheet you're going to do, you'll fly through, I'd say, 6 of the questions, because I've actually pulled 6 of these, all of these questions off that worksheet. Okay, so I'm expecting to see at least 6 spot on. Right then, so here's the last one. We're going to do this again. The highest common factor of 10 and negative 35. Now just keep an eye on there. There's a negative sign. Okay, shouldn't make any difference to what we're doing, but the highest common factor here is 5. Okay, the highest common factor of 10 and 35, the biggest number that goes into both. So we're going to rewrite this all out. So we're going to have 5 multiplied by 2 is 10, multiplied by x, so 3 of them, that's x cubed. Subtract, that's the only time that's going to make a difference during this, is just making sure you keep it in there. 5 multiplied by 7 this time. And that last x on its own, okay? So just keep an eye on that subtract sign. Right then, so now we're going to put our brackets below. What's in both, what's common? So we've got the 5s. And we've got 1x of them, one of the 1x's, there we are. So 5 multiplied by x. I've not bothered to put in the multiplication sign, you don't need to put it in. Okay, and then what's left over, we've got 2 times x times x. Okay, so if it helps you to write it out, I will write it out kind of the long way just to show you, because it can be a little bit overwhelming at first. Okay, so 2 times x times x. The subtraction sign stays in there, and the second term we've only got a 7. Okay, so just to tidy it up now, we've got 5x. 2 multiplied by x multiplied by x. Well, x multiplied by x is x squared. So 2 multiplied by x squared is 2x squared. 2x squared minus 7. Okay, so that should help. That should really cover all of factorising single brackets. So that will be really helpful. Please complete that worksheet I've set for you. Get in touch, but I will put more details on your assignment. Thanks, folks.